So with climate change, some of the most pronounced changes that we're going to see in Ireland is not necessarily temperature related, it's more to do with water.
And Cascade is a project funded by the Creative Ireland Climate Action Fund. We wanted to look at how Ballina could become more adapt to the impacts of climate change. And in Ireland, we're seeing that the effects of climate change are having an impact everywhere.
We're going to see an increase in the frequency and intensity of storms. We're going to have heavier periods of rainfall occurring more frequently. We're also going to get more likelihood of summer drought occurring, so it's that kind of dual challenge of, whilst the average rainfall might stay the same across the year, we're going to have periods that are much wetter than we've currently had and periods that are much drier, and we need to be able to adapt to cope with that.
So we wanted in Cascade to look at the fabric of Ballina, and particularly its laneways, because it's a town along the River Mayo, which is a really beautiful river. It's got these incredible laneways that link the street. But a lot of these laneways were degraded, they weren't being very well used. A lot of the rainwater goods in the laneways hadn't been repaired and weren't functioning, so that when you got heavy rain, all of that rainwater was running straight the way through the town, and that has problems downstream because that causes further flooding. So we wanted to work and listen to the people in Ballina about what their perspective was on climate change, but also on their town and how they use it, and particularly how they use the laneways.
So the way that we interacted with the community was through a series of public workshops. Some of those were run in the Mayo Centre, some of them were actively within laneways within the town. And we went through a process of storytelling, initially getting people's perspective on how they use the laneways, how they've experienced flooding or other climate-related water challenges in the town, but also what they would like to see in the future, how those laneways could be improved if they are dark and dirty and unloved, and whether they could be transformed to be somewhere that is safer, more beautiful and more socially active.
So the ideas are there's sort of threefold. So the first one is fixing the rainwater goods. So introducing new gutters and downpipes, quite simply, that fix a lot of the problems that there was water overflowing from roofs and that was damaging buildings and then flowing into laneways. So we repaired the rainwater goods and added new ones. And then we absorbed a lot of that water from those new rainwater pipes into rainwater planters. So we've got 3 beautiful bespoke rainwater planters. And then you have the gorgeous green wall, which is this big, kind of shaggy green wall that holds 700 litres of water. So it takes the rainwater off the adjacent roofs and it brings it into a big trough and then allows that to trickle down and feed the plants along the wall. And so again, you're slowing the flow of this rainwater that otherwise would just be running down the laneway. And then the third piece is Rena McNeil's beautiful bespoke downpipe, which is a profile of a woman's face, reminiscent of Ida O'Pora.
When Ida died in 1966, she was 67 years of age. Over her lifetime, she had fought for freedom for Ireland, the Republican cause, justice and peace and harmony and all of those things. She's forgotten now, but we should not forget her. And at the obsequies at the graveyard, Phelim Canary, in a number of words, he summed it up, and I read it just to get it right. He said, "Never will there be another fighting lady in the War of Independence like dear old Ida." And that's summed up by an enormous person.
Well, if we think of problems, they're always going to need a creative solution. Like, to actually solve a problem is a creative work. It all kind of comes together a little bit like jam. So, you just put all the ingredients together and then something comes out of it. We obviously needed to move rainwater more efficiently out of this lane. And when we look at what living as a human and living in towns means, it's not just the basics. Like, you're existing here. There's a quality of life. There's your imagination. There's what does it feel like going through somewhere? How does it reflect you? You know, places are made out of the relationship between people and them. Out of all of those discussions, and I suppose one of the solutions here, this is all the kind of an integrated rejuvenation of the lane, with the green wall, with the new gutters, and then with Ida, who is behind me here.
If the laneway is made more attractive, more safe, those buildings might be brought back into use. It creates places for people to live and to work within the laneways, but you're also doing it in a way that is not adding to the urbanisation problems. And so the idea of the project is to show how this can be done, but it is only really effective if it is done at a large scale. One laneway is not going to solve the climate crisis, but this is a blueprint for showing how this can be applied to lots of laneways.
The history of Ballina is its laneways and the town centre where people lived over the shops, lived down the laneways. They're an important fabric, and so many of the different generations of Ballina lived in these areas. So it's great to see they've been reimagined, repurposed, and made a more beautiful place for us all to enjoy.
If you think that by 2030, in 5 years' time, we have to reduce our carbon emissions by half, so that's a really radical change. And sometimes I think that can seem like it's too big a challenge for ordinary people. But we hope that these projects show that actually we have a lot of the solutions to hand, and in fact that everybody can be part of that change. And through creativity and through collaboration, we can all contribute to action on climate change.